Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks, another first-round exit, losing to the Indiana Pacers 119-117 in overtime. Giannis for the series, 33, 15, and 7 on 60% from the field. It is their third straight first-round exit, and the number one question people have at this time is, where is Giannis going to be next season? What is the status of Dame going to be moving forward? Is this the end of Giannis in Milwaukee? Has it been an underwhelming performance thus far? There was a lot of questions circling around Giannis's future. And before I get to where I think his future is going to look like, I just want to point out how incredible Giannis has been, not only this series, but the playoffs since the championship. Giannis was the only person on the Bucks worth a damn. Now, Gary Trent Jr., great game last game in game 4 or in game 5. Bobby Portis had his moments, possibly his best postseason ever. Like I just said, Dame gone. Brook Lopez underwhelming. Kyle Kuzma, enough said. The Bucks have nobody but Giannis. He was the only one doing anything the entire game. Much like LeBron, if you were watching those games or following that series, if you think that Giannis had anything to do with the outcome of this series, meaning he lost it for them or it's on him, you don't understand, you don't know basketball. Giannis had nothing to do with losing this series. They are 8-12 since their 2021 championship. As I mentioned, there's been 3 first-round exits in those 20 games. Let me paint the picture of what has happened in these playoffs, of why they are 8-12 since that championship. So 2022, they lost to Boston, who would go on to make the championship in the second round with no Chris Middleton. Giannis proceeded to put up 32, 14, and 7 in those playoffs. 2023, they lost to Miami in the first round. Now, Giannis played 2 games in the end. He was hurt and then came back. Thought he might be able to do it, but couldn't. Still put up 23, 11, and 5 in just that first round series. 2024, he was hurt, so it doesn't really count. Now, how do you want to handle injuries? Like, Steve was a big proponent of, and I think he would say this if he were here, injury is a part of your job, like maintaining your injury, staying healthy, being available for your team. That's a part of your legacy. To me, that's out of your control. I'm not going to penalize someone unless you're like Kawhi Leonard, where it's been every single year and you're just out missing entire seasons. I'm not going to penalize you for just being hurt because of, like I said, unfortunate circumstances. 2025, which we're obviously in right now, no Damian Lillard, who was brought to Milwaukee to be the quote-unquote missing piece or the savior. He still puts up, like I said, 33, 15, and 7 on 60% shooting. None of these playoff losses are on Giannis. No one comes out of these series and says, you know what? Giannis should have done more. Giannis lost them that game. Giannis was the reason. There's none of that. Giannis is the only reason they're in those series. Like that 2022 series with Boston went 7 games. I think this series with Indiana, this Milwaukee team was sorry. And if you are not a regular viewer of the show, you're here for the first time, first of all, welcome. Second of all, you may or may not know this. I picked Milwaukee to make the finals. The Milwaukee Bucks are making the finals. They are making it out of the East, and they are returning for the first time since 2021. Lakers, Milwaukee was my pick. And I believed that, or I picked that because Giannis was having an all-time season, and legendary players do legendary things. And I thought this was going to be their time or their resurgence. Like I said, Dame getting hurt and Giannis doing everything he can except score 50 every single game. I don't know what people expect from him. But the question or the storyline today is not Giannis's performance. It is where Giannis is going to be in the future. And the answer to that is I have no idea. I don't think Giannis knows. Everyone seems convinced that this is his last time in Milwaukee, that we saw him put on a Bucks uniform for the final time because the team isn't getting any better. Giannis isn't getting any younger. They have no flexible cap room or salary space. They don't own their next 4 draft picks. And as I just mentioned, with their sorry roster, how many or how big of moves can you make to get Giannis to stay or get yourself over the hump? I truthfully have no idea. Giannis, we also know, likes being in Milwaukee. I think he has a connection, much like Luka in Dallas, has a connection to that city and feels like he is a part of it. And Giannis has a decision to make on if he wants to be an all-time great or a legend. Because right now, like I said, to put it in lowballing terms, Giannis is top 40, top 30, somewhere in there. Only has the one championship. Obviously has the multiple MVPs and Defensive Player of the Years. Multiple time first team All-NBA guy. Consensus top 2, 3 NBA player for the last 6 years, let's say. 5, 6 years. That's not going away. And I also think Giannis, and I've said this before for other players, I don't love the argument of just purely put this guy one-on-one or at just purely the game of basketball, the eye test. Who do you got and where do they fall on your list? Giannis being a 7-foot monster who can play offense and defense should have that be a major part of his argument of like, hey, go through the all-time list. Who's going to stop him or who is actually better at the game? That's an argument to be had, but he needs accolades. He needs achievements. So Giannis, I think no matter what, is going to be looked at and viewed and regarded as an all-time great player, like I said. Now, whether he reaches legend status or not depends on what he does with the rest of his career and how he builds his future. But he has given no indication to us that he wants to or is going to leave Milwaukee. And last night at the time of recording, Tuesday night, when he was asked about his teammates and their performance and how he felt they did and if he trusted them, he said yes. You know, he would trust them. He would trust them today. He trusts them tomorrow. He trusts them next season. He does everything, he can for the Bucks, and those are his guys. He mentioned how he gets along with Doc Rivers, and he even went through and like pretty much listed the entire Milwaukee roster by name. That is important, and that's something to really be aware of because that means that Giannis is, I think, bought in on what Milwaukee is doing right now. He's giving no indication that he's not. And I think unless Giannis comes out and states what he truly wants for the rest of his career, if he makes that clear and abundant to the public, then we can go ahead and run with something. But I think right now it would be doing a disservice to just assume Giannis is going to go somewhere else when that is, not been his thing for his whole career. I think he wants to build in Milwaukee and with the Bucks and do the homegrown thing like Dirk and Kobe and Duncan and all those guys. I think he has the right to go somewhere else. He shouldn't be judged or viewed differently or dropped in anybody's list whatsoever. I don't think anyone can take, if he wins a ring somewhere else, take that championship away from him or call it fake or say that he didn't earn it or the case maybe. He's been in Milwaukee for 12 years, I think. I mean, the better part of a decade. So he's earned it. He can go somewhere else. Just whether he'll do that or not, I have no idea. And I think it's fair for all of us to just let him kind of handle that himself without us making assumptions. Listen to the sound. I listen to the sound.